Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Tflip Show. Here we are, episode 4. We are just chugging along here through season 2. I hope you guys are enjoying the ride as much as I am. I love doing this. I love hearing you guys' feedback, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Today, I'm going to be interviewing a D1 golfer from San Jose State University. His name is Kris Stiles. Kris is going to tell us all about his journey through golf, discovering his passion for it, how he ended up to where he is at San Jose State, and everything in between. So I really hope you guys enjoy this episode as much as I did. And make sure, be a friend and tell a friend. If you enjoyed this episode, the only way we're going to grow this channel and grow this podcast is by spreading the word. So if I ask you guys one thing, it's that. So make sure you guys send this to a friend if you guys really enjoyed it. And at the very least, leave a like if you're on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And then to all my podcast listeners, just share the episode link. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for even being here. And I really hope you guys enjoy this. And I'll see you on the next one. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Tflip Show, episode 4. I'm super excited about today's episode. I'm joined with none other than Mr. Kris Stiles. Kris, how we doing down there?
Doing good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, coming on out here.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate it. So, Kris, tell me a little bit about you. Where are you from? Give me some background.
I'm from Palmdale, California. Pretty much most of my life I lived in Lancaster, California, but it's like a 10-minute drive within the two. But into the game of golf, I learned from the Nintendo Wii. So I was 5 years old, and my uncle and my dad were messing around, having a little competition game as they normally do. And this time, but I'm sitting down watching. I'm actually paying attention, and I asked my dad, like, hey, can I get a swing? And, he gives me the remote, kind of a little bit of like, all right, here you go. And the first swing on the game, I hit it right down the fairway off the tee box. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then within the next 15 minutes, my uncle kind of talked to my dad. I was like, wow, that was pretty good. So we go out to the Lancaster Driving Center, which was probably about 5-minute drive for our house. And we get a bucket of balls, and we're on the range. And first swing, my dad just told me it's going to be pretty hard, so don't expect much, because I was pretty athletic in most sports and just picked it up really quick. But he was telling me that golf was pretty hard. So when we got on the range, he put a club in my hand, an adult-sized club at 5 years old. So it was pretty big. So he had me choke all the way down to the shaft. Mm-hmm. And his first thing he told me was, keep your left arm straight. And I step up to the ball, and I pretty much swing. If we had it on video, pretty much similar to what my swing looks like now. And I striped it right down the middle of the range with a little draw. So
How old were you?
5.
5 years old,
Yeah.
man.
So it was wow. Then you kind of think like, oh, that's kind of like a lucky swing. So we teed up 2-3 more, and they all looked the same. So from there going on for like the next few years, people were calling me the natural, because it just looked like a natural golf swing.
Yeah.
And then going on from there forward, I played my first tournament at 6 years old at Rancho Vista Golf Club. It was against another girl who has been playing pretty much since birth. And it was obviously some more kids in the field. And I came in second. My first round was like 42 or 43 for 9 holes.
Wow.
Within the next month or two, my dad's working at the time, and he says golf is going to require a lot of practice, a lot of time, a lot of effort being put in. But he says, like, I can't keep coming out here if we're just going to keep shooting 6-7 over par. So one day, he gave me like a week. He says, if you don't break par, we got to give it up. That next round, I shot 35.
Wow.
Yep, shot 1 under.
And again, sorry, how old were you at this time?
I was 6 at this
6
time.
years. So more or less 1 year. 1 year of playing the game.
I broke under par in a year.
In a year.
I broke par in a year,
6 years old. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's almost a little messed up.
Yeah.
I've been like a year and a half.
Yeah.
I'm 23 years old. I'm like, I can't even break 90 yet. I'm 18.
Yeah.
So it starts with the Wii, you said, which I love that right off the bat. Starts with the Wii.
Yeah.
Did you have any other love for any other sports other than golf, or is kind of golf the first thing that came to you?
At the time, I played a lot of different sports. I mean, I know I played a little bit of soccer. I ran track. To be honest with you, I was probably best at track at that age. I was 5 years old running in division with 8-year-olds. So if we're looking back, I think track would have been my most primarily sport. But ever since the golf got introduced, I mean, everything else went out the window. Like, even the basketball. We always knew I was never going to be tall for basketball, but I was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But when I picked up a golf club, it was more of very quickly like, this is the game for me. I can do something with this.
Yeah.
So I stuck with it since I was 5.
And it just and stuck with it, and it was the passion is kind of what stuck to you. Kind of is like, this is for me, this is it, or is it just because you were good at it?
It's a little bit of mixture of both. I can easily say that the passion and the drive and the commitment of the game, it did fade away in a little bit of high school for me because on a high school golf team, I did meet some new people, some new friends on my high school golf teams, but they weren't that good. So it was more of Kris, go teach them. It was teach them fundamentals, and it wasn't really practice for me. So my game slowly started to fade away. And when I would go to tournaments, I was quickly watching myself fall down a leaderboard. And then I gained a little bit of passion for it. Like, I started to fall in love with the game more a little bit my junior year of high school. And we went to Brentwood Country Club to warm up or to practice for the U.S. Junior Am qualifier.
Okay.
And we were hitting shots on the range, and within the 6th or 7th ball, I pull out a sand wedge and hitting just wedges, just practicing, getting the feel for different shots. I hit one. I caught a little bit heavy since we're hitting off mats, and I felt my wrist snap. Didn't think much of it. Played the round. Had a tournament within the next week. Obviously, took practice that light because the wrist was really bugging me. I shot 69 the first round. It's a 2-day tournament.
Yeah.
So I have the lead by like 1 or 2. And we go to play day 2. And off to a pretty solid start. Probably around even, 1 over, or the under par range. To be honest, I don't remember. But we got to one of the tee boxes either on hole 9 or 10. And I got to the top of the swing and my wrist gave out. So we went straight to the doctor now, because if it's stopping me to where I can't play around, it's kind of serious now. They had a hairline fracture right on the left bone.
The left wrist?
Right on the left wrist. But at the time, I was committed to Alabama State University. So I committed to like a smaller Division I school because I wasn't sure how I was going to fall in love with the game of golf. My scoring averages wasn't that good. Wasn't pretty much with the competition. But so I had to decommit from Alabama State because I had a little bit of coaching issues and stuff like that. And within 2 months, I'm in a full cast now for 6 months.
Holy cow.
I didn't touch a golf club for 6 months.
Huh.
So now it's kind of a stressful, because as most athletes know in high school, that junior to senior year is where you're looking to pick what school you want to continue your athletic career on.
Yeah.
So it was very nerve-wracking. And even with the cast on and sitting at home some days just playing video games, just in the back of my head, like, this could be it. Like, my golf career is over. Like, I don't want to play ever again because I'm not going to come back the same. And then I had a recruitment visit set up for San Jose State. And I came in and I met the coach, and he seen that I had a cast on, because for the first visit, I'm trying to like hide it, I have it head behind my back, but he know already that the wrist is messed up. But he took full interest in me, and he gave me the opportunity to come play, and he has not seen me swing in person, has not done anything for me, hasn't seen me play, so it was a shocking.
Yeah.
So when the cast came off, I was committed to San Jose State now. And even going back to practice, it was more of, hey, I have to like show coach like that he picked up a right player, that
Prove yourself.
Proving myself, because he took a risk of bringing me in here.
Sure.
So when the cast came off and it was time to practice again, obviously I'm still in contact with the coach. He's telling me like, take it slow, and because he's afraid I'm going to rush back into it and cause another injury.
Right.
But I would say I picked up the love a lot more when that cast came off, knowing that I had another opportunity to play at Division I university. That was, at the time, they were ranked inside the top 60.
Yeah. Reignite that fire.
Yeah. So just coming into that and being at home in Palmdale on the range and working with my coach, Marshall Patterson, he stayed with me, and just the repetition on the range and the putting green, and I fell in love with that.
Yeah.
Because you don't really, in my opinion, you don't really know how much you love something until it's taken away from you. And when it was taken away from me in that 6 months, I was very hurt by it.
You didn't have a choice in it.
I didn't have a choice. It wasn't. I would still go out to the golf course and just hit putts one-handed, just with a cast all the way up to my left elbow, and it was
Just have something.
yeah, just to be on the golf course. It was like, okay, this is who I am. Although it's a little late, to be honest with you, to fall in love with the game your senior year in high school, because the competition I'm with they're full on board at the age of 5 or 6. You know, although their parents are pushing them to be out there, it's a little bit of the kid wants to be out there too.
Yeah. So, what'd you do to face the hardships and the challenge that you had during that injury? Because that's 6 months, you said, without touching a golf club straight, and
Right, no swing.
nothing. So, what did you do to kind of like the mental side of it? Because not only is golf a mental game, but in the sense of just any person, any sport, an injury like that kept you away. What did you do to keep your head straight? Because, like you said, doubt crossed your mind there.
Yep.
So, what'd you do?
To be honest with you, I struggled with it a little bit. From what I can remember is school. This is before the COVID era. I'm still going to school in person, full cast, and I remember I was waiting for a call from the doctor to see what it really was, and he told me that it was a hairline fracture. And one of the doctors actually told me that you might not ever be able to perform at the same level ever again. So I broke down in tears in my trigonometry class my senior year, and to get through that, the doubt in my mind, honestly, I struggled with it a lot. I remember just having lots of talks with my head coach here at San Jose State now, my dad, my swing coach, my mom. I think my mom really pulled me through a lot, because you know she's very faithful.
Yeah.
She reads the Bible a lot, and she always told me God has a plan for everything. Everything happens for a reason.
Let's focus on your parents for a minute. What part do your parents play? Because obviously you touched on it at the start of our conversation here. Dad and the Wii at 5 years old and taking you out on the range. It kind of started there. How about both your parents? Tell me a little bit about both your parents and what part do they play to your journey?
Let's start with mom. Mom, she's never really knew much about the game of golf, like how it works and stuff, but she had the hand on my back to push me to go a little further. Without my mom, I don't play golf, because in the middle of the middle school to transitioning to high school, my dad quit his job for me to play. So there was only one income coming into the house, and my mom is working double shift. She's going hard at work just to keep the roof over the house for the family and food on the table. So my mom's relationship, she doesn't care what I shoot on the golf course or anything like that. She's more of, she'll ask me, how's the attitude out there and stuff like that. So my mom is more of like the mental coach. And, so even now in college tournaments, she's more of how was I prepared mentally. And she always tell me, I say a prayer every time before I tee off now. And that came a little bit from her. I take my hat off, I step to the front of the tee box, and just being blessed to have another opportunity to compete with another round is always something that I mention, and my mom has a big influence on that. So I would say my mom she's very, very helpful in my journey in golf. With my dad, he's more hands-on on the golf side, so he's been with me on the range hours and tears, blood, sweat, all on the range. So he knows the frustration and how difficult the game is, because he knows that not everyone can shoot the scores that I'm doing, and he keeps me mellowed out, because there's times where I get a little like a roller coaster ride. I get up and I get down pretty quickly. So he notices that now in college golf. But growing up, me and my dad's relationship off the golf course, it was good. It was perfect father-son relationship. But when we got on the golf course, it was almost like we were enemies. We got into it a few times, but what my dad has done growing up to lead me to where I'm at now is a big piece of who I'm becoming today and how my golf game has evolved. So my dad is more of like the powerhouse.
Yeah.
He's a little more hands-on when it comes to golf compared to my mom, but they both have their roles that plays a big part of how I perform.
It sounds like a perfect balance between the two, from pops and, being out there on the course with you,
right.
And I guess we'll call it the mechanics.
Yep.
And mom with the mental side. And for the people that don't know golf and aren't involved with golf is beyond a mental game. Anyone who has just touched the club and touched the course know that. And that's so special hearing that.
Yeah.
Your parents and what they do for you. I mean, that's
Right.
perfect. That's just
Right.
absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I admire that. So shout out to your parents and what
Yeah.
they do for you, because it sounds like without them, any of us, what could
Yeah.
we do without our parents,
Right.
right? So I love that, Kris. So tell me a little bit about then, okay, we talked about growing up, the young age, high school, and then talking about coach. You kind of touched on that. So tell me a little bit more about San Jose State and how you got in touch again, and then where you're at to this day, present day.
So, as I said, I decommitted from Alabama State roughly around late sophomore year, beginning of junior year. And with the rules I had, you were not allowed to be in contact with a college coach until September 1st of your junior year. Mm-hmm. So when that time hit, I was obviously my recruitment opened up, but I had a Titleist representative for me who went by the name of Cliff. I told him about the situation that happened at Alabama State, and there was a little bit of like coaching issues there, so he had to leave. And I told him that, hey, it's a little bit of a stressful time, and he made some calls for me, and one of them was the San Jose State head coach, John Kennedy. Mm-hmm. So I met him through of like a recommendation. He didn't know much about me before he got the call from Cliff, but like I said, he took a risk on me and brought me in. So, coming in now into San Jose State, obviously I have a athletic scholarship to play there, but my relationship with my head coach here is something like I don't to be honest, I don't call him coach. We all call him JK because my relationship with him is honestly like a second dad. Like I honestly talk to him about anything. I go into his office and we might talk stuff about either in the business life, the business aspect of the world, or golf, or something that's struggling at home with family or something like that. And him, I would never leave my coach just because how much of a risk he took on me, how much he respects me, and then I have the same respect and love for him. So that makes it a lot easier when it's time to compete for him, and I have that San Jose State Spartan logo on my back. I know who I'm playing for. I'm not playing for myself, even though golf is an individual sport. Yeah. But coming in to coach in my freshman year, I came in pretty hot with playing and qualifying, and so it was kind of hard. When you're playing good and you come in your freshman year of college, it's kind of hard for a coach to coach you up on something because you're doing so well. Yeah. So I was kind of shut off to anything he was telling me in the beginning, and then we played our first tournament at the Southwestern, hosted by Pepperdine. It was also on Golf Channel. I came in dead last. I've never came in dead last my entire life, and it was my first time ever shooting in the 90s, my first round. I was in tears in the locker room after. It was like, where did it go from shooting 3, 4, 5 under par the week before to 93? Mm-hmm. So we make jokes about it now, like, hey, you shot 93, because it's funny now. But in the heat of the moment, that score is what opened me up more to being coachable, listening to what he has to say, and doing everything that he told me now has made my game make a big jump from there to now the end of my sophomore year going into junior year.
I know one thing that coaches always look for in a player, whether they have when they get to their program, or whether it develops, is coachability. It's always the number one thing. And the fact that you're able to gather that and grow that and find that within yourself is huge, and only makes that relationship stronger between player and coach relationship. And I think all athletes, former and current, myself included, playing football growing up, is the relationship with the coach and the player is something special. Non-athletes don't realize that. And talking about the relationship, I can't help but smile because, I never had that to that extent, but you yearn for it. It's like you want it. It's there and the opportunity's there. And to hear that's awesome. And so he's like a dad to you. You just talk about anything, and golf or not. Mm-hmm. That's special. So I want to hear a little bit about the tournaments that you've played. Some of the highs, some of the lows. You talked about shooting 90. Not too long ago, you were on the Golf Channel at Pasatiempo playing for, what was it, the
Western Intercollegiate. Yeah,
exactly.
We host that tournament. It's a big deal. It's one of the biggest tournaments of the year.
Yeah, and you played well, didn't you?
Yep, I did okay this year.
Yeah. Where'd you place?
It was T17th or 18th. Honestly, I can't remember. But the conditions were by far the toughest that has ever played at that golf course from what I've heard, and even playing in it. In the moment, you're like, wow, this is tough. But you kind of tune out a little bit of the stuff when you're playing because you don't want to talk negative about the course.
Sure, of course.
Stuff like that. But some of the highs, or some of the lows. Let's start with the lows.
All right, start with the lows.
Yeah. You want to finish with the good stuff.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah, so my first term of the freshman year came in dead last. I think for the week I was like 33 over par. Although the conditions were tough there too, and it's a pretty rather difficult golf course. That was not some very good play, and that kind of set me back of proving my point to coach. Although now I understand that I don't even have to prove anything to him. I'm just here to play.
Yeah.
It was pretty painful. That was one of my worst events, and even for this year, my sophomore year, I kind of struggled in a tournament in Reno, the Wolfpack Invitational. We played in snow. There was snow sneaking on the ground. Yeah, it was like 25 degrees, and coming from the high desert in SoCal, we don't come outside when it's snowing or stuff like that. Because we'll get a little bit of snow occasionally. It might drop down to low 40s at the coldest.
Yeah.
But to play in 25 degrees, 24 degrees, we're bundled up, and I have on so much clothes that I can't really take the club back.
You can't swing.
I shot like 85, 80, then 74 the last round, and it was like, oh, here we go again.
How do you even play in snow? I didn't know that a thing. I thought if the conditions weren't right, you don't play.
So it started off with just really freezing and raining when we first got there.
Uh-huh.
And then we look at the forecast before we play, and it said there was a chance of snow. And it starts snowing early in the morning while we're on the range. It's not sticking when we're on the range, but it's enough to where you can see it on our clothes and everything to where it's affecting the golf ball because it's really cold. You have no idea how far it's going. Mm-hmm. We get on the course, I'd say probably around my 6th or 7th hole, and the snow it's on the greens. It's sticking. It's hailing, and the conditions were just brutal.
How does it make the ball play different? I'm thinking about like your approach shots and onto the greens. Is the ball skipping? Is it rolling more than usual? Is it?
It's hard to tell. You never really know. It could do something different because your ball might land in a spot to where it's frozen on the green. It's ice and it's just gonna bounce off like a car path, or you might catch a spot to where it melted on the green and now it's watery and it's gonna land really slow or really soft. So I mean, it's a little bit of a guessing game when you're playing in that cold of weather, but a little bit of a guessing game, but it's a lot of mental at that point because at this level, everybody can go post a low number, but it's who's more mentally prepared than the rest of the players in the field.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I would say I struggle with a little bit, but I am getting better at that now. The mental part of the game, being prepared when the conditions get tough, because it's like when you see the forecast, you're like, oh, it's going to be another tough day. Rather, when you have some opponents who are like, oh, this is another opportunity because we can knock out half the field because they're thinking how I am. Mm-hmm. So now going into the Western Intercollegiate at Pasatiempo, we seen the weather, that it was going to be blowing and it was going to be brutal, raining and stuff like that a week out. Mm-hmm. So now I'm practicing, like, there was times where I'd, like, pour water on my gloves and my arms and stuff, hitting balls, just to get a little bit prepared for the rain and stuff. Obviously, you can't prepare the wind. That's something the wind has to be there for. Yeah. But I remember stepping up on that first tee box, and the wind wasn't as strong as it was later in the round, but it was blowing a little bit. And I told myself, a lot of guys are going to post a high number today. The course is going to be pretty tough, and you just got to go out there and play your game. Whatever happens, happens. You can only control what you can control. Yeah. And I had to lead on 18 tee box. And as most people know, that 18th hole at Pasatiempo is a tough finishing hole. I made a good bogey there to beat one back off the lead going into the next 2 days. I fell off a little bit in the second day, shot 79 with the same tough conditions, but there were some kids that day who posted some good numbers that kind of separated me from the field a lot. And then going into the third day, let's go that night. After the round at night, we always have a team meeting. We go over the game plan for the next day, and coach, in front of my whole team, he made out a point that I'm one of the best players he knows to make a bounce back. So I slept on that all night, and when it was time to play, I remember all the examples he gave me that night. How whenever I make a double bogey, I've bounced back. For example, I made a double bogey on hole 8 at Stanford tournament. I bounced back with 3 birdies in a row after. I doubled 8 and I birdied 9, 10, and 11. So he brought that up to me, and it was like, okay, I never looked at it like that. So when it was time to put it all together and bounce back for a whole round, I came out pretty hot. I was 3 under after 9. And after missing like a 3-foot birdie putt on hole 9. So I was a little bit frustrated, and I doubled hole 10. And I remember seeing Coach. He's like on 12 green next to 11 tee box, and I called him over. It's like, hey, I just 4-putted, made double. And he goes, remember our talk last night? Like, you can bounce back. I birdied hole 11. And I shot 68 that round.
That's incredible.
So it was just being prepared mentally has brought a lot of good rounds in this year. Stanford, when I made that double, I had to lead after the first round there, too. I shot 64 at Stanford.
60. Wait, I'm sorry.
64.
Hang on, that number didn't seem real for me. 64.
Yeah, 64 with a double bogey.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
with the double. That's messed up.
What's even more funny about that? The day before, we had a practice round, and we went to eat as a team. We got sandwiches for lunch, and I ate a sandwich, and we're in the practice round, and we're like, I want to say we have like 6 holes left, and I'm starting to feel a little bit. I feel something in my body. I'm not feeling too good. It's getting to a point where I can't stand up on the tee box anymore. So I hit my ball, and I'm like sitting down. I have my head between my legs, and long story short, I had food poisoning.
Oh God.
And I was up until 3 a.m, throwing up, and just not feeling good.
Yeah, I would say so.
We had to be up on the road at 5:45, I believe. So I got like 2 hours of sleep.
If that.
Yeah, if that. It was tossing and turning in the bed. I remember I fell asleep on the couch, and I got up and threw up, and now I'm asleep on the floor. It was a rough night.
Yeah.
Then going into that first round, up early. It's still dark outside, and I haven't ate anything in over roughly over 15 hours. And I didn't eat breakfast. I didn't eat with the team, and I was a little nervous. I was kind of debating if I should play or not. And then on the first tee box, I kind of felt a little bit like I wanted to go vomit again in the bathroom, but I held it down and hit the first tee shot down the fairway, and it's a long walk to that second ball, and I'm thinking even to the approach shot, like, I don't think I'm gonna make it through. I was like, all right, but the thing that kept me there is my team needed me, because if it's 5 count 4 in most tournaments in college golf, if I leave, they count everybody's score. It's 4 count 4. So I was like, I just got to finish through. Maybe my score might not even count. I'll just give it all I got. So I'm walking up to that second ball after all these thought processes, like my mind is spinning.
Yeah.
And I let it all go. It's time to hit a shot on a par 5, and I hit it to about 15 feet pin high right.
Wow.
Yep. And then I'm still dragging my head, like, important, drinking lots of water and Pedialyte, and I make the eagle putt on the first hole. I eagled the first hole. I'm like, all right, we're off to a good start. I'll keep it going. I ended up shooting, I think it was like 2 under on the front 9, and went and shot 4 under on the back 9. So it was more of just, that's where that mental part came in, just grinding it out, knowing that I'm not playing for myself. There's other people that are counting on me. So that's what helped me that round. I did struggle a lot in round 2 and 3. It kind of dropped me to the middle of the pack because it was a pretty big field, even having the lead after the round.
Yeah, but even the fact that you fought through that, feeling that hard, because anyone who knows who's had food poisoning, that's a terrible feeling. You don't want to do nothing.
Not a great feeling.
So the fact that you're able to fight back through that and shoot the score that you did, and then stick around for the rest of the rounds for your team.
Yep.
You got some good parents, man. It sounds like, I mean, look, that's a pure example right there.
Yeah.
That started at a young age in your head and thought about, I'm here for my team, and the mental side of it and everything. That's awesome, Kris.
Yep. So we have a qualifier when we come back from Christmas break for the tournament, Pepperdine's tournament, and the tournament in Hawaii. So it's Pepperdine's tournament's on TV, and then Hawaii's Hawaii. So everyone wants to qualify for it.
Of course.
So coming off the qualifier, and we played Pepperdine's tournament, and I kind of struggled there again. A little bit better, a lot better than freshman year. But even going into Hawaii's tournament, we don't have that much time. We came back to San Jose this year, probably for about 3 days, and it was a quick turnaround to get on the flight to go to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. I'm more mentally prepared after leaving that North Ranch is the name of the golf course that Pepperdine plays. It's a tough golf course, but going into Hawaii, I felt like I was ready. Didn't have much doubt in my game, and had a lot of confidence, and was just speaking highly of myself. And I went out and shot 67 the first round. And I can't remember what place it was in. I think it was in like the top 15, but we have the best schools in the nation here. Oklahoma State and Arizona State are here, so we're playing with the top of the top guys.
Yeah.
And we go out into round 2, and I shot 73, and that dropped me way further than I thought it was going to be. It was like, I think I was down like T40 or T35, and I'm still 4 under for the 2 days.
And that's off of a 73?
Yeah, that's off of 73.
Wow.
This just shows you how low the guys are going.
Holy cow.
So I come back the third day and shoot another 67 to sneak in the top 15. I think I finished in 15th. But just shooting 9 under for that week and realizing that only put me in 15th that week, that had me practice a lot more. Because I think the winner individually shot 19 under.
Really?
Throughout the 3 days.
Holy moly.
Yes, he is one of the top ranked guys in the world in college golf, but just seeing that's capable to shoot 19 under out there, and that I was in the top half of the leaderboard, that boosted me up a little bit coming off the injury from the wrist injury and stuff like that. So that was one of the highs this year that had me feeling pretty confident about myself, and that pushed me to work even harder and be out on the range longer than usual.
I love your optimistic approach to all of it, because sure, you probably wanted the top 5, right? Of that, but T15 isn't where you wanted to be, but then you're able to look at your score and say, you know what, look where I'm at.
Yeah.
Look what I'm shooting. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
Other than the placement, and that's going to come in time, and in the competition.
Right.
I love just your mindset on it. I want to take a minute to talk about your team. Golf is generally an individual sport. It's usually about the individual. That's where college makes it unique, and I think the spin on golf makes it that much better of what college brings in the team together. Talk about that dynamic, your team, the guys, and all of that.
The group of guys I have here on my team is great. Just I couldn't ask for a better team, and I love my teammates, to be honest with you, and they all have like their own unique personality, which brings the team together. And one of my teammates pointed out a good point. Without golf, if we were not playing golf, none of us would probably be friends. We'd all be so shut off to meeting each other. But now that we're here on the golf team, we have the opportunity to play on a Division I team and travel. It's kind of weird how much we click and we come together and do a lot.
Yeah.
One thing for me was coming into college was, am I going to be able to get along with the team, just being African American? And it was a struggle at first, because meeting a new group of guys, and everyone's from different backgrounds. Like, I had 2 teammates from the Philippines, and
oh wow,
one from Malaysia, one from Japan. So there's guys coming from all across the world, and just thinking about how am I going to be able to fit in. And that's the team for my sophomore year. My freshman year, there was a guy named Sean Yu. He was from Taiwan, and he was one of the best players in college golf. He had a college win, and now that he's out of college, he has a professional win in Taiwan.
That's awesome.
So he's doing good. But just coming into a team, a little nerves were involved, and butterflies in the stomach. I'm never going to be able to fit in, or am I going to be accepted, and stuff like that. But my team is, I wouldn't trade them for the world.
Yeah.
They there's times where we all get a little frustrated with each other. We're all basically brothers now. If you have a brother, you get a little frustrated with him at times, but at the end of the day, that's your brother. You're going to do whatever you can to make him better. Yeah. So the team is literally, that's a good word, family. We're all there for each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what you want in a team, no matter what sport you're in. That's exactly what you want. If the locker room and the bonds are strong, You're set up for success no matter what the scores are and what your record is.
Right.
It's exactly what you want. Tell me about some of the experiences that you've had, maybe like unique. So beyond the highs and lows of tournaments and whatnot, what's something that comes to mind right away? Like, for example, you talked about golfing in the snow. I mean, that's something you don't hear about every day. What's the first thing that comes to mind of a unique experience?
With the team?
The team, your golf, your golf career, I guess we'll say. What's something that comes to mind?
That's a tough one. We have a lot of stuff that is going on in these past 2 years, especially with like COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
As far as a team gathering and a team perspective, something that really stood out the most, which I know most other college teams were not doing last year, is we were all required to move into the dorms.
What?
Wherever we were living, no matter, I was already in the dorms because freshmen had to be in the dorms. Mm-hmm. But we all had to move into one building for COVID rules.
Yeah, interesting.
That year was extremely difficult because you're with your team all day long, practice, when you're playing, traveling, and then to come back with them in the room. Mm-hmm. There was some tension between some guys, and to see that we were able to put that aside and realize that we're here for golf, and we all got over that was great. So I think that's one of the top moments in my freshman year of college golf, just seeing that how powerful that was that quickly, that we all were like, we agreed to make a change to keep season going. Mm-hmm. Some guys are paying 12-month lease at an off-campus apartment, and they were still paying that and had to move into the dorms. So they were paying for a place that they weren't even living in. And just to see them quickly, yes, I'll move in. Just to keep the season alive, just to potentially have a season. We only had half a season that year. We only played from January to May.
But you take what you could get.
You take what we can get because we didn't have a fall season at all. Mm-hmm. So just the commitment of how much guys wanted to play, that was something pretty big for me, because if you just put me individually back at home and you told me I had to live somewhere that I didn't want to live or was uncomfortable, I would have hesitated a little bit. It wouldn't have been as quick as a yes as I did with the team. But that was pretty cool for me. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. People don't realize the sacrifices that you got to make in sports, and especially college sports. I mean, mm-hmm. your time, your social life, and general sacrifices that you're willing to give up for the team and your career. I want to hear about what goes into the day in the life. Kind of, those TikTok trends. People say, day in life. What's a day in life for you?
Here at college?
Yeah, college and the team.
In season, so we work out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Mm-hmm. So we're up pretty early. We got to get up roughly around 6:30 to get dressed and drive over to our workout with our trainer. After that, most of us have class roughly around 9 to 10:15. Get class over with, and then go straight back to our apartment, grab some food, do what you have to do, get dressed, ready for practice. We're on the range probably from around 10:45 or 11 to, I'd say, just before 1, and then we drive to a golf course on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and we play golf, a full round of 18 holes. That takes 5 hours, so 1 to 6. Mm-hmm. And then there's a good portion of us after that will go back to practice on the range, probably roughly for around another 2 hours, hour and a half. And then after that, it's homework all the way until you can get it finished. Sometimes you might get back home at 7:30. You might be done at 8:30, or some nights you might not be done till 1:30. Mm-hmm. So it kind of depends. I know in the spring schedule, starting in January, the schoolwork is a lot more heavier than it is in the fall. Mm-hmm. And we travel a lot more, so most of us are spending more time studying in the books and stuff like that to keep the team GPA and to just get our degree without failing any classes.
Yeah.
But a Monday through Friday schedule consists a lot of repetition on the range, on our facility, short game putting area. And then outside of that is pretty much just whatever you have free time for. Because now that I'm out of season, my schedule is very different. I don't go to workouts at 7 in the morning anymore. I do it on my own time. I try and get it done before 11. I try and finish the workout before 11 and get out. And I'm still got finishing up school now with finals. It's kind of been a stressful time of the year. So schoolwork and study all the way probably up until 3. So now I'm not touching a golf club until late in the day. But
Yeah.
lately I've been going out to our facility late at night with my teammates, and they're willing to put some hours in with me. And even my coach might come out there with me. It's pitch black and freezing outside right now, and we're out there till 10 o'clock at night.
Getting it done.
Just getting it done. You just got to do what you can to find
Yep.
those little time gaps to put the work in, because in the summer everything is different.
Yeah.
Everything changes day to day.
I don't think I know what how far along are you in college? Are you a junior?
I'm a sophomore.
You're a sophomore.
I'm
Gotcha.
finishing up my sophomore year, so I have 2 more years left.
Okay, gotcha. So every golfer I feel like has their strong suit, right? I think about the pros. First few guys come on, Bryson is his driver, right?
Yep.
DeChambeau's his driver. I think of Phil Mickelson's the short game.
Right.
What's your strength and weakness in your game if you were to call it out to yourself?
That's funny. I actually asked my teammate Caleb Shetler about this. What does he think? Because I know what I think it is. We were at a conference championship, and we were like 2 holes left. And I stopped and I asked him, say, what do you think my strongness and my weak points are in my golf game? He actually agreed with me. So off the tee, driver, it's not my best, but it's for sure not my weakest. I can get the ball out there, and it's
What's your average
it's
drive?
pretty accurate. I'm roughly around like 310,
Wow.
300, right around that 300 mark. And driver I say if I had to give it a grade, I'd probably give it like a C+. But when I get hot with irons, and from like pitching wedge to all the way up until like long irons, that's my strong point, because I like to go at flags. If it's tucked, I want to put the ball close.
I love it.
So it gets me in trouble sometimes, because you barely mishit it. Now you're fighting to make bogey or double or even par. But I would say my irons roughly around that 8 to 6 iron range is where I get hot the most, and just putting the ball pretty close to the hole. I struggle a lot with chipping. Chipping is my weak point. When I came in freshman year, I couldn't get the ball out the bunker with spin. So that was something I worked on for a long time, even with past alumni, current teammates, coach. So short game is something I've been working on to get better at. And putting is probably, my putter's my favorite club by far.
Really?
I get hot with the putter pretty quickly. And there's times where we're doing putting games, and I talk a little trash to my teammates, and they'll just make a bomb putt just out of nowhere, just when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
So I think combining with the irons, being good at irons and putting, I think that's 2 that really go together good.
Super well, especially with your aggressive approach to the pin, too. If you're not afraid to go at it.
Right.
I love that. So we're talking about, so obviously you're at a very, very high level of your skill and what you do, What would you say, we're talking about the strengths and weaknesses to your game and the game in general to others. What's your advice to the amateur weekend golfer? For someone who's picking up the game, wants to get better, what's your advice? Where do you start?
You growing up, you always hear like the drive for show and putt for dough type of thing. But now with the way the game is changing, you can't play golf without hitting your driver far and in the fairway. Obviously, short game is still the most important part of the golf game, because you're not going to hit every green when you play, or you got to get up and down. You got to do you got to have to have some magic out there around the greens. But for the average weekend golfer, I would honestly just say it's more of a mental thing, really.
Yeah.
Because there's some amateur golfers out there who can even shoot in the 70s or low 80s, but they're constantly telling themselves, like, I play with the weekend golfers at home. I've got some friends, and I constantly hear them self-talk, like, I suck, I can't do this, I can't do that. Just they're always always finding like the smallest excuse that they can find to make up for what they did wrong that day. As if someone at the college level, they're going to identify that, and they're going to go work on that as much as they can. They're going to go get to that uncomfortable spot until it's comfortable. So I think that's something that separates the amateur golfers from the people who are more higher level or the professional golfers, is when you find something that you're uncomfortable with, don't run away from it. You need to go to it and make it comfortable.
And so, what about your future? I'm curious about that. You're a sophomore at San Jose State. You still got 2 more full years there. What's next? What are the goals? What are you seeing, and what are you trying to get to?
Going forward, obviously the goal is professional golf. I'm gonna play like Monday qualifiers and go play on the Korn Ferry Tour and try and qualify for the Korn Ferry Tour, or there's a tour called the Advocates Professional Golf Association. It's mostly for minorities, but they're given opportunities to get sponsors exemptions into like tournaments. For example, they're giving exemptions into like the Wells Fargo Championship or the Genesis Invitational. So just after college, just going to be able to have the chance to play professional golf is the plan to make it to the PGA Tour. If golf does not work out, most people that's one of the first questions I ask, what are you majoring in when I play with my other competitors? Most people say communications, that they're going to their goal is professional golf. They're getting communications just to get easy schoolwork and get it done. But I'm majoring in corporate accounting and finance. So if golf does not work out, I haven't made a decision on what I actually want to be. That's why it's accounting and finance. It's like almost a double major, but they combine into one.
Gotcha.
I either want to be get my CPA and become a public accountant, or I want to be a financial advisor. So it's kind of the schoolwork is hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's getting pretty difficult because I'm already in this year. I took one upper division course and it was pretty hard. Not gonna lie, but it's something that I can get through. I mean, I've pretty much, my mom's been on me about academics my whole life. That's where she steps in, and C's are not acceptable. So I've always had that mindset of it's either a B or an A, and a C is just, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
So my backup plan is I'm going to use my degree, and I do plan on getting my master's in the business world.
That's incredible. I love that, Kris. So many guys, excuse me, so many athletes, I should say, when it comes to sports, of course, they're shooting for professionals. Many of them are, whether it's realistic or not, to each his own. But they don't have a backup plan. Or even post-professional. If they do make it that point, it's like, okay, now what, and whether the money's there or not.
Yeah.
I love that you have that set up for you already, because, of course, hey, I think you'll make it to where you're shooting for. But even without that, is that, okay, well, that didn't work out, but guess what? I got, the real life to get to, a career to get to that's going to pay the bills, and I'm going to do what I do. Not enough people, I think, focus on that and look at that in the way that you do. Would you call yourself a numbers guy? I mean, with what you're doing there, I mean, that's a lot of math, right?
Yeah. Coming up in high school, I didn't take the harder maths. I didn't take like the pre-calc and the stats. I kept it pretty simple just because of golf. So the hardest math I took in high school was trig. But I was always quick with numbers. My dad is like that too, because he does not like subjects to where there can be more than one answer. We always like that there's math. It's either you're going to get it right or you're going to get it wrong. So just growing up, I've always been dealing with math with my dad. And for the SAT, I think currently I'm the graduating class of 2020 is the last high school class I had to take the SAT. We got a pretty big SAT prep book, and we focus on the math section in it a lot. He wouldn't let me go out and have my social life until I did a certain amount of pages in the book. I think it was like 10 pages a day or something like that. I can't remember the exact number. But in that book, I focused more on the math because I did not take the higher level math. And going into the SAT, I had no idea what kind of math was on it. So I studied everything. Going in, and I took the SAT, I got a 1,500 out of 1,600. I think I missed like 9 questions on the whole test.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was literally just by studying and picking up the numbers pretty quickly. So math and numbers are my favorite. It's like my go-to. I struggle with it a little bit now. I'm kind of falling off a little bit because I'm focusing so much on golf and we're traveling, so I don't get as much study time as I was doing in that senior year of high school. But I still I can pick up pretty quickly on what the professor is talking about now, and I'm picking up enough on it to where I'm nowhere even close to failing a class. So I'm looking at like the B's and the or low A's or even the A pluses just to keep the GPA higher.
You're clearly very punctual. If I couldn't tell already from your game of golf and taking care of business and all that, and then schoolwork. I love that. I think you got it all there together, Kris. I mean, you got all the pieces, man.
Yeah.
I loved hearing your story and what you've told me so far. I think we're gonna wrap this thing up here. Did you have anything you wanted to kind of bring up? Any call-outs to? Anything? Where can people find you on social media if they want to go looking for you to follow you and your journey going forth?
I use Instagram the most, so that my Instagram is Kris Stiles 3. It's just KrisStiles and the number 3. That's something I use the most. I would love to expand more on that.
Definitely.
But I don't really use any other social media. I mean, Twitter here and there, and I think that username is Styles_Kris. But I use Instagram the most. That's where I can get in contact with people the most.
That's how I found you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Kris. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your story. Is one of one, man. I'm excited to see your future and where you're going forth. So, all right, folks, that's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did here with Kris, and I will see you guys on the next one.